Hi everybody, this is Mike Pach with Three Peaks Photography coming to you from beautiful Colorado Springs. I conduct night sky photography workshops out here in Colorado, and one of the biggest issues I come across is people who are new to the area or are just visiting aren't always aware of how to dress properly in order to stay warm if you're going to be out with us overnight on a shoot. So I'm going to talk to you about proper clothing. Out here in Colorado, it's not unusual even in the summer months for the temperatures to dip down in the 30s and 40s, Fahrenheit that is, especially in the higher elevations. So here's what we need to do in order to keep warm. Let's start by discussing what I'm wearing right now. So I have a cotton sweatshirt and cotton jeans. Cotton is something that we want to try to avoid for a couple of reasons. One is, if cotton gets wet, it stays wet for a very long time, and that will keep you cold, and we don't want you to be cold. If you're cold, you're not happy. We want happy students on our workshops. Another reason to avoid cotton is because it's not windproof. The wind will blow right through it, and if it's wet, that makes you even colder. So we want to use a layering system with materials that are both insulating and windproof as well as waterproof. Let's take a look at socks. I have a couple different pairs here. One's a heavyweight and one's a thinner weight. So depending upon how much room you have in your boots or your shoes, or how warm you want to keep your toes, buy what's appropriate and comfortable for you. I really like the Smart Wool socks, and REI makes some really good ones too. The reason that wool is important is because when wool gets wet, it stays warm, or it keeps you warm. So I can tell you from experience, when I've gotten my feet wet, even soaking wet, wearing wool socks, my feet were still warm. Next, let's talk about a base layer. So there are a variety of choices for you in different weights. This is a silk weight pant, and I would wear this under my outer layer on nights when it's not going to be too terribly cold, or I might wear this as a base layer and then put a heavier weight pant over it on those colder nights. This is a medium weight shirt, and this I would wear on warmer evenings, or I could also wear it as a base layer underneath a heavier shirt. This is a polar weight pant, and I would wear this on colder nights. This is what I would wear over the silk weight pant if it's going to be really cold. And then this is the top that goes with those pants. And again, this is a polar weight. You can also find expedition weight, which is even heavier. And by the way, all of these types of clothing can be found at various outfitters, the national chains being Cabela's. I shop a lot at Cabela's or Bass Pro. You can also check out what REI has, and better yet, if you have a local outfitter, like here in Colorado Springs, we have Mountain Chalet, which is a great shop. I do recommend that you support your local businesses. Okay, now that I have a good base layer going, let's talk about adding an insulating layer. Your legs shouldn't need too much extra. If it's really cold, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to double up by putting a silk weight pant underneath these. But for your top, it's really a good idea to have a fleece jacket like this one. And when you wear something like this, it keeps the warmth close to your body. And with something that has zipper pockets, this is a good place to store your spare batteries so that they'll stay warm close to your body. As we all know, if you're out in the cold, your batteries will drain more quickly. So it's a good idea to keep them inside a pocket that's close to your body, and if you have zippered pockets, that will keep them from falling out, and you don't want to lose anything when you're out there in the dark. I've now added an outer layer to my base and insulating layers. These pants and this jacket are made from a synthetic material that's both waterproof and windproof. Having a combination of windproof plus insulating is going to help keep you very warm. My jacket has zippered pockets, so it's important to have those so that you don't lose your important items like your keys. It's also got a hood, so that helps protect me, keep my head a little bit warmer, and if it's raining, it keeps the rain off my head. Alright, now that I'm protected from the wind and the rain with a good outer layer, let's talk about footwear. At a bare minimum, you should be wearing hiking shoes similar to these. Definitely don't be wearing open-toe shoes like I have on right now. That's a big mistake. The problem with shoes like these is that you cannot waterproof them. If they're not waterproof already, then you can't put any sealant on them to keep the rain out. They're also not windproof, so if your feet tend to get cold, I prefer something else. These are my regular boots that I use for hiking and being outdoors here in Colorado. So these are all leather uppers. I can easily waterproof them with some sealant, and they offer good protection for my feet and my ankles. If it's really cold, then I'm going to wear my winter boots. These are insulated down to, I think, 25 below zero. So these are good to keep your feet nice and warm and dry. Let's talk about gloves. I have a few pairs here. This is a pair from Glacier Glove, and these are called split finger gloves. So the index finger and the thumb have slits in them that allow me to expose those digits, and then that allows me to operate the dials and buttons on my camera. I have another pair here from ProMaster, and these are actually photographer's gloves. They are very similar to the Glacier gloves, where I have a flap that exposes my index finger and my thumb, allows me to easily operate my camera. Another option, if you can find them, are gloves that are called glommets. It's a half finger glove with a mitten cover that covers your fingers. Make sure if you get some of those that they have the flap that allows you to expose your thumbs. Some of them are made without that flap, and they're practically useless because you really do need to use your thumb. The third pair I have here is pretty thin. They're a little bit heavier than glove liners, but I really like using these, and one of the biggest reasons I like them is because they have special tips on the index fingers and the thumbs that allow me to operate touch devices like a touch screen or a phone. And they're also sensitive enough that I can still work my camera while I have these on. Okay, let's talk about keeping your head warm. I have here a variety of beanies. Anything like this will work. This is one of my favorites. It's a very thin material, but it's very warm. And when I use it, keeps my head warm, but it's also thin and small enough to fit in my pocket without taking up a whole lot of room. My personal favorite is this guy right here, and it's made of windproof material, so it helps to keep my head warm. It's got a little brim here in case I need to protect my glasses from any rain, but it's a goofy looking hat, and in my opinion, the goofier looking your hat, the better it is. Now on those extremely cold nights, you might want to use a balaclava, like this one. This helps keep your face warm, and your head, and you're then protected from the cold. Alright, that's it. I hope you learned a lot from this video. I hope to see you on one of my workshops. Get out there, be safe, and have fun. I gotta leave before I start sweating.